Hi, I'm Kate with Kate's Paper Creations, and I want to welcome you to my weekly Blast from the Past video on my YouTube channel and blog. Today's video is all about using discontinued or carried over Stampin' Up! Products and revitalizing them by combining them with current products. I also sell all of the products I feature in this video, and the link to my store will be in the description below, so you can buy from me online. So this is the stamp set we're going to be using. The carryover product is the Stitched Stars dies, and these were in last year's annual catalog, and they were carried over to this year's catalog as well. And so here's all these lovely different configurations of stars and swirls and pieces that can be used for corners and all kinds of things. The three dies I'm using on this card today are these three right here. This one, and this little one right here. And those are the three I'm going to be using today. So let's get started. Whisper White card base, simply because then when I open the card it's easier to be writing in. Otherwise, with this dark cherry cobbler that I used today, you would have to put a piece on the inside so that you could write a greeting or add a greeting to the inside. So I'm starting with Whisper White thick, and it's cut at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4, and it will make our base card. Layer that I did was the cherry cobbler, and I cut it to the full size of the front of the card, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5, and we will attach that to the front of the card. And it's just going on with I'm using Tombow here. You could use your Stampin' Seal as well, but I have a bulk order of that, so I'm using it up. So there's layer 1. Now, layer 2 is the silver foil, and it is cut, and there's a little trick I did here, so I'm going to show you this. It is cut, get my numbers here, 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to create the second layer. So I'm going to create both the first layer and the second layer in silver. And the way I did that is I cut this foil first, and this was a solid piece of foil, and it was the 4 by 5 1/4, so it'll go on here and leave that 1/8 inch border. And then to be a little more conservative of my foil, I brought out the rectangle stitched rectangle dies, and this one is the one that is, if you measure the die itself, it's 2 3/4 by 4 1/8. And so I brought and I this out of the middle of that, like that. So that created that piece that I'm going to use later, and it saved some of this because it's going to get covered up. So I'm going to put that piece on there. It's just a way to conserve some of your foil because they're kind of expensive. And you know, if you're like me, make wise use of your products. That way you can make more stuff and buy more stuff, and that's always a good goal to have. So put this on here like this, just like that. Okay, the next layer, I'm going to push that out of the way. The next layer is cherry cobbler again, and it is just one step down. So where this silver was 4 by 5 1/4, this one is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. That's this piece, 3 3/4 by 5. And I am going to emboss around, heat emboss around the edges with some silver stars. And I didn't have the stamp set that went with this, although it did have one. I don't have it. So I searched high and low for stars, and where I found these was in the Curvy Christmas stamp set, which is the all-new stamp set that's out there. And I'm going to use Versamark ink, excuse me, and emboss around it. Now, to make sure that I got the embossing where I wanted it, I used my temporary removable, whatever you want to call it, adhesive, and I put a little bit on the back of this foil, and then I'm going to center it in here so that it's where I want it to be, because that's going to help give me, and it's just temporary foil, so it'll lift off, temporary adhesive I mean. And we'll bring in the Versamark and this lovely stitched actually curvy die from Curvy Christmas, and it has stars and well, you see it. I don't know how to describe it, but it has the stars in it that I wanted. Okay, so I'm going to ink that up. Before I do that, I am going to take my Embossing Buddy. Any kind of an anti-static tool that you have is a good thing to do, so that your embossing powder does not stay where you don't want it. Okay, that's really an important step. And so I'm going to do this. I'm going to put something underneath this so I don't get stuff on my background. Here we go. And then I just picked the way that it would go on there and leave the stars. And so I'm thinking that this is going to be just like that. And I'm going to stamp that. Then I'll turn it around and ink it up again. I'm going to turn on that heat tool in the background. Sorry for the noise, but that makes it, I'll talk a little louder, and I want it to kind of be preheating, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, and then I'm going to do this one about like that, and then I got to do the ends. Let's do that. It gets kind of quiet when I'm thinking. Okay, so there's those things. I'll take that off and bring in my embossing powder and do this. That looks pretty good. Okay. Let's get this over here. Get that set with the heat emboss tool. Preheating really does help quite a bit. And in some of the places you can see it did go over the outline of the card. That's okay. You know, you don't have to have everything in perfectness. It will still look very lovely. Gotta switch my fingers around here. Okay, get wrapped up in my mic cord. That would not be funny. Okay, so then that is ready to go. And we'll dust off that extra Embossing Buddy stuff and get it out of the way. And this piece I also just attached flat. So we'll do that next. And again, that leaves an 1/8 inch border all the way around, just like that. Okay, then the next layer is this, and it's going to get this piece attached to it. Before we do that though, where'd my other star go? Oh, I love it when pieces get lost. We'll work on that in a minute. Okay. So, I'm looking for that piece. I'm going to put the sentiment on here. The sentiment came from For Unto Us, Hark the Herald Angels. And I'm going to use that embossing buddy again. And my Versamark. And I'm stamping this to the bottom left of the cherry cobbler piece. This was cut out with the stitched rectangle dies again, and it was the one that was 2 3/8 by 3 3/4. That's what it measured. And turn on that again. Looks good. Okay, let's emboss that. Okay, and there's that piece. That is going to go on here flat. So we'll get our tape and put it on. And so this was cut out with the rectangle die again, like I said before. Get that off there. And this leaves a border all the way around, and you just want to center it on there. And now that it's done, we can dust it off a little bit. Then this I attached to the card with dimensionals. Let's get some things out of the way here. There we go. Okay. You know, when I get ready to do a project like this, I try to have all my pieces ready, cut out, all my supplies, so it goes smoothly. But sometimes I just don't win. Okay, so then there's that piece, and I'm putting it on with dimensionals. And again, I'm just centering it like that. And then these stars, and I had 3 of them. As you can see here, 1, 2, 3, I have a middle-sized one that has gotten away from me somewhere on my table, and I am not finding it. That's kind of funny. So I'll just tell you what I did here. I took these 3 stars and I just used the liquid glue pen, and I just put one here, and then the middle one, and then the little one, and you can see how it looks here on the front of the card. So there it is. There is my weekly blast from the past using some current stuff. The For Unto Us and the Curvy Christmas stamp sets are brand new, and so they're here, and the stars came from last year, and there you have it. So thanks for stopping by.